Chapter 12. When Margaret shocked me with a stun gun, I learned something. You don't pass out immediately. The shocked area burns and goes numb, like being eaten by ants. Margaret hit the back of my neck, making me dizzy and speechless. She supported me and walked me outside. I was still somewhat conscious. I hooked my fingers on the doorframe, but Margaret pried them off with force. Then I was dragged all the way to the top deck of the cruise ship. There was a private glass observatory on the top deck, extending out over the sea with a fantastic view. Margaret had done her homework. She'd booked the entire space. Margaret's face was grim. She tied my hands behind my back with a rope and fastened another rope around my waist. After finishing, Margaret finally spoke her first words to me. "Turn around." I turned and saw a narrow ledge, about a hand's width, on the outer edge of the observatory railing. Seeing I wasn't moving, Margaret hit me hard on the head with the stun gun. I swallowed a scream of pain. I swayed, lost my balance, and half collapsed to my knees. My head went numb with pain, feeling like little bugs were crawling from my scalp to my forehead, finally dripping onto the deck in bright red spots. I wiped the blood off my face with my shoulder and slowly stood up. She pulled a knife from her pocket and pointed it at me. "Do you want to die now?" I gritted my teeth, turned, and walked towards the observatory edge. Margaret tied the other end of the rope around her own waist, grabbed my clothes, and forced me onto the ledge outside the railing. The ledge was too narrow, only accommodating the balls of my feet. I had to stand on tiptoe. The sea wind whipped my clothes around. I glanced down and could see Roman's seat on the deck below. I looked away, trying to keep my voice steady. "If you like him, just tell him. What's the point of taking it out on me?" The answer was a slap from Margaret. "What do you know?" Margaret grabbed my collar, her voice filled with uncontrollable madness. "I've loved him for over a decade. He's the only one in my heart and eyes. Don't you deserve to die?" Margaret's fierce eyes suddenly gained a tinge of expectation, and her voice softened. "If you just disappear, he'll come back to me. It's just a marriage of convenience. How can it compare to my devotion all these years?" Margaret looked at me and smiled. "You don't deserve him." I gritted my teeth silently. No one had ever slapped me before in my life, but I'd experienced it all here. Since Cassian had become Roman, I guess it figured. But I was going to pay Margaret back for that slap. Margaret let me go, took out her phone, dialed a number, put it on speaker, and looked at me with determination. Roman's voice came through the phone. Margaret's vicious expression vanished, replaced by a tender smile. "Roman, guess where I am?" "As long as you're not in front of me, you can be anywhere." On the other end, Roman's voice was cold and indifferent. Margaret's expression wilted like a flower. "I know it's Clara Bennett who's made you like this." "What did you say?" Roman heard the shift in her tone. I couldn't take it anymore. I yelled into the wind, "Tell Margaret you'll love her for 10,000 years." Margaret just wanted Roman to love her. If he'd just say it, maybe this would end. It was too hard standing here. I might fall into the sea and feed the fish before anyone could save me. Margaret glared at me and shouted, "Shut up." "Could you hurry up?" I muttered. "Margaret, where are you?" Roman had a strange calming effect on her. With one sentence, she stilled. Margaret told him, "Look up. I'm right above you." I turned my head to look at the deck. The people at Roman's table had stood up. Roman was looking up towards us, phone in hand. Then he rushed into the ship's interior. Cale Voss and the others remained on the deck, someone already making calls. The phone in Margaret's hand was suddenly hung up. She looked away, up at the sky. Her hair blew across her face. Her eyes were like a disturbed lake surface, but then they calmed instantly. Roman didn't make us wait long. When he arrived, his breath was slightly ragged. When his eyes landed on me, his face fell. I grinned weakly at him. I didn't mean to get caught. Who knew Margaret would ambush me in the bathroom? Margaret had her back to me, her shoulders shaking with laughter, but her voice was full of inconceivable pain. You still care about her? Tears streamed down Margaret's chin. She pointed at me, bewildered. What's so good about her? Her family went bankrupt. Her father jumped off a building. How am I inferior to her? She pointed at herself with her fingertips, her eyes red like a child's. I'm the one who's always been in your life. I should be in your future too. But you never look back at me. Ship security had rushed in behind Roman. Margaret looked at the crowd, her expression faltering. She pulled out the knife and held it to my throat, shouting at everyone, "Back off or I'll kill her." Stay back. Roman threw his arm out, signaling the security behind him, but his eyes never left me. Seeing Margaret wasn't backing down, Roman tried to reason with her. Margaret, don't do anything stupid. Let her go. Margaret smiled bitterly, closed her eyes, opened them again, and looked at me. So do you love him? Margaret searched my eyes, trying to find something. Didn't you just marry him to save your family's business? I looked at her, feeling utterly tired. From the moment Margaret made that call, I knew she didn't intend for me to survive this. But Margaret was hoping, desperately hoping things would go as she imagined. I looked up at the sky. It was a clear, clean blue. Then I asked her, "Are you having trouble accepting that you've lost Caspian Hale?" My words seemed to strike a nerve. Margaret's eyes narrowed, hatred flashing in them. She pressed the knife harder against my neck, breaking the skin. Shut up. I heard Roman snarl. I looked up and saw his brow furrowed, eyes anxious and fearful. I smiled at him, trying to be reassuring. Don't talk, he said again, his voice trembling slightly. This time, I pretended not to hear and looked back at Margaret. You know what? Everything you have, everyone you love, it's all fake. This is all a dream. Margaret stared at me intently. I knew she didn't understand, so I said something she could. I'm different from you. If I offer my heart to a man and he doesn't want it, I take it back. I keep it safe until I meet the right person. How can you force your feelings on someone and demand forever? Do you really think giving everything means he'll love you back? Are you stupid? Margaret understood now and grew even angrier. She screamed and raised the knife towards me. It's all because of you that he doesn't love me. I suddenly reached out and grabbed her knife-wielding wrist. I'd been working on the ropes binding my hands while talking to her, just waiting for the right moment. A moment to end this. I yelled at Margaret, "It's time to wake up from this dream." But I was looking at Roman. Margaret didn't expect me to free myself. Half her body was already leaning over the railing. In panic, she tried to grab the railing to stop her momentum, but it was too late. Instinctively, she grabbed my arm, probably thinking I'd anchor her. And I let her fall. I'd heard that falling into water from a great height is like hitting concrete. A chaotic, whimpering sound filled my ears, stretched unnaturally long in that moment of falling. I actually had the presence of mind to listen to the sound of the waves. A tremendous force grabbed my hand. My arm screamed in pain first, then the rope around my waist went taut, squeezing the air from my lungs. Below me, Margaret's agonized wail was carried away by the wind. Roman had lunged over the shattered railing and grabbed my arm, his knuckles white. Let go. I managed to raise my head. I really don't have the nerve to jump a second time. Roman's eyes were bloodshot. He gritted his teeth. Don't even think about it. I hadn't expected Roman's willpower to be this strong. He was actually holding the weight of two people by himself. Security behind him rushed forward to help. In the chaos, I heard a faint cracking sound. I realized instantly and screamed at Roman, "Let go!" Roman didn't move. The transparent observation glass in front of him shattered into a spiderweb of cracks. "Let go." I grabbed Roman's hand with my free hand, scratching it bloody. As Roman flinched from the pain, the glass gave way with a final, loud crash. Roman's grip loosened. The last thing I saw was a horrified Roman being hauled back to safety by security as I plummeted downward.